Allegations in the death of 5-year-old AJ Freund. After a week of searching, police say AJ's own parents are the killers. Last hour, the bond for each of the parents was set at $5 million. And in court, prosecutors claim little AJ was put in a freezing cold shower for an extended period of time, then struck in the head. Let's bring in Bobby Chacon now. He is a retired FBI special agent. Bobby, you know, there's definitely a history here. The child has been removed from the home several times. There's been records with Child Protective Services, even from birth, opioids found in his system. And now, a week after he's been reported missing, the parents are in custody. Investigators, I mean, is there a reason that they would hesitate and not go straight into the parents initially, given this history?
Well, I think they did just that, but I think in cases like this, when you have a child that's missing, you don't really have evidence of the actual crime yet. You know the child's missing, but you really need more to go on. So I think they did their due diligence. They looked at the telephone records. They looked at every other thing they could do. They searched the house extensively. They searched the areas around it. So I think that you know, once they had things that they could actually confront them in some of these interviews. Remember, the husband, the father, is a former attorney, so he knows tricks of the trade. So I think that they did a good job at being patient, gathering the information that they would need to confront them, and it probably took them a few days both to get the phone records and to analyze them and to develop an approach on how they wanted to make the approach to probably the mother in the interrogation, you know, and confront her with the records and force her into telling the truth. Or telling a part of the truth. So I think that's the time delay. I don't think there was a big time delay, but I think the time delay that did exist was because of they needed to get the records. They needed to examine all the different possibilities of what might have happened. But I think early on they were on to the parents. I think we all had the feeling that, you know, they weren't calling it an abduction. They weren't saying that it was an abduction, and they were really focused on the house. So it was just a matter of making sure that you approach it in the right way. You know, unfortunately, in a case like this, when you think the child may have perished, there's time, and so you have to do it right because you don't want to make any mistakes that might aid the defendants in this case down the road.
That makes sense. In the video we were just playing too, we saw, you know, some of those items you're referring to, bags of evidence, a mattress, a shovel, all taken from this child's home. What type of things are investigators looking at and detectives searching when they look at these items closer?
Well, I mean, I think that that's another sign that they kind of felt that the house and inside the house was the crime scene and that they had a crime committed, probably a murder. So when you see them there removing the mattress, they removed other items where there may be DNA, there may be blood, there may be instruments of death like a shovel or a blunt instrument. So I think that what you see there, them taking, those are mechanisms of a murder. And so that's what, you know, they were on early on, and that's what the search was for, was to, you know, they had already realized that this was probably the murder scene. So let's look at the things that, number one, could be used to carry out the murder, and number two, could be used to cover it up, like plastic sheeting and things like that. Ties, rope, anything that because now it looks like they probably wrapped that child in the plastic and removed them from the house because the dogs did not scent outside the house or away from the house. So they probably put that little boy in a vehicle wrapped in plastic to transport him to the site where they disposed of him.
And we have to keep in mind, as we hear, you know, some of the pieces to this puzzle come out. These are all allegations. So obviously this family, these two parents will get their day in court and hopefully it will all get sorted out.
Right.
Bobby Chacon, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.